Is it playing for you guys? Oh, hold on. What are you guys seeing? You tell I'm very experienced with YouTube live streaming. I'm getting like the infinite loading wheel. It is not started. It is not started. It allowed me to go live, but it's infinitely buffering. Here, can you guys hear me? I mean, if it works for you guys, then it's fine. I have a really smooth voice. I would assume that means it's working. Hopefully that's true. Hold on. Nothing? Nothing? Oh, that is a weird question. I actually completely forgot about that. What am I seeing? You have to move your mouse with your left hand? It works. It works. Why is it showing me I got a freaking black screen then? Alright, anyway. That's fine then. If it works, it works. Hold on. I'm already sweating bullets. I do not exclusively play the same scenarios. One moment. I have so many questions. Let me move my chat a bit over so I can see what everyone's saying. Oh wait. That's not possible. That's all good. Do I claw fingertip? I use a claw grip. I'm actually not a natural claw grip user though. I was a fingertip grip user for most of my life. And it worked well when I was an OS player. I forgot exactly why. I think at some point in time, I looked up like CS Pro player grips and how many of them use fingertip. And it was like 1 or 2, and they were like semi-pros. I don't think that's entirely true. I'm pretty sure Woxic uses fingertip, and he's very, very good, right? So in retrospect, I probably could have stayed with my old grip. But I do enjoy having more involvement with my arm. I feel like the one downside that fingertip grip has is that like the lack of stability, or the comparative lack of stability compared to palm and claw grip makes it so it's harder to use your arm to aim. So I'm happy with my grip now. I've like fully gotten used to this one. So my grip had to change quite a bit when I was using the Model O, because that mouse was so flat, and so I still have some sort of like remnants of that grip as well. No, I'm sorry. It's actually just a flipped webcam. What is my end goal for this project? So I guess I'll talk about it while doing a slightly easier scenario, because I'm horrible at long strafes. I'm so bad. Let me just do some Kata IC long strafes. So this project is about mouse acceleration. So you guys may know of mouse acceleration because it has like an incredible stigma in the FPS community. Like in-game options, the Windows enhanced pointer precision, it's all really horrible, and it all messes with your muscle memory. But that's because the way acceleration works is not always the same, right? So the way my driver works is that it has like a 1-to-1 linear relationship between sensitivity and speed. Okay, first of all, mouse acceleration is the concept of when you move your mouse faster, your sensitivity gets higher. And the relationship is based on like what parameters of the driver, right? So the one that I'm using, which is like good mouse accel, is linear, meaning that the faster I move the mouse, the faster sensitivity will get directly, right? But apparently most normal drivers are like cubic or something crazy like that. So it's much, much harder to commit that Accel curve into muscle memory. So I was given this idea by someone in my comments section who's now become like a pretty good friend and Twitch viewer. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because, you know, that mouse Accel has such a stigma surrounding it. I realized that Kovaak himself, the person who made this aim trainer, he uses mouse Accel. He's great at Quake games. Very high tracking demand, very high click timing demand, right? But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and the person who was recommending it to me is also like, yeah, I used it for like a year and I never went back. So I'm like, okay. I did some more research, found out that the top Quake Live players also used a lot of mouse Accel of the linear variety. So I'm like, wow, that's actually so like eccentric and interesting that if nothing else, I want to give it a try, right? You may notice that my arm is falling off the freaking table. I don't know why this happens. But it's alright, it doesn't really affect my aim that much. Okay, let me read some of these comments because I missed a lot. Vertical long strafes. I do have a Discord, yeah. I'll drop a link at the end of stream. If you remind me. Vertical long strafes is a great scenario. It's kind of easy for people who are good at it, but I'm terrible, so it still helps me. I've been playing more scenarios that are working on skills that I'm not very good at. So, like vertical aim, for example. I love your vids build, even though there's 4 of them. Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. I'm working on more. Hopefully. What's your favorite type of pie? Ooh. I don't really have one, I don't think. I mean, the classic is like a apple pie, right? I'm more of a cheesecake kind of person. How long did it take to edit the Kovaak's video? Funnily enough, the Kovaak's video had like 1/4 of the effort put into it in terms of editing and like scripting than the Apex video, the Rise and Fall of Apex. That Apex video was the first time I decided, let me try first. I'm gonna make a storyboard in Google Docs, right? I want to have this whole thing paced properly. I want to have the whole thing like in concept done. And what was the last part of it? Oh yeah, the chronology, like the order things happen needs to be correct, so I can like tell a narrative through my experience, interwoven with the game's life cycle. Oopsies, that was really bad. I followed that up by doing a full script, which is like 2,000 words, read it all out, then did the arduous process of editing that video together. It was way, way harder than the Kovaak's one, because I had to keep outsourcing clips. You know, I didn't have that many clips of myself from the old season, because I didn't stream back then. I had to keep joinking ASUs or whatever, and getting things that were exactly applicable to a certain topic is not easy. I'm usually live on YouTube. I usually watch you on Twitter. Yeah, I recognize you. What guy? And it's Ali Dauda. What's up? But yeah, when I did the Kovaak's video, I kind of just, it was more off the cuff. Like, I had a general idea in my head of where I wanted the video to go, but when I was recording voice lines and editing them, I did it like segment by segment. Went to Google Drive, wrote out a paragraph, recorded it, put it in the editing software, then repeat. You know, it wasn't nearly as structured from front to back. But I don't think that affected the video's quality that much, because I guess I just had a good idea of where I wanted the video to go before I started. I think like I wanted to include that section with the training montage, like before I began. I wasn't sure about that segment with the plateauing, and the part where I like, compared scores from beginning to end was like a very last second idea. Very last second idea. And I actually almost got rid of it because I thought it was too boring. But I mean, that video turned out pretty well, I'd say. I was proud of it. Even when I got like 20k views, I'm like, that's pretty good. I'm happy with this. Everyone seems to be really positive. So, you know, I think I did a good job, even if my streaming career had to come to an end. At least at that point in time. Why is my mouse falling off so badly right now? Okay. Your hair do be kind of looking fresh, though. Thank you. What's my CPS? Someone in my comment section also asked me to, like, work on CPS, and it was like 7.2 or something. Twice as many viewers than on Twitch. Yeah. Oh, I already read that. Wondering if there's left-handed mouse for people who are left-handed. Well, this mouse. Let me check my OBS, make sure I had the right scene. It's ambidextrous, like it's the same shape on both sides. Only problem is that you have side mouse buttons on one side of the mouse, right? So, I mean, if you don't use the mouse buttons on the side, then like this mouse would be fine. But there are some, I think like the older Zowie models used to have buttons on both sides. And then you can choose which ones you want to activate, I think. Something like that. So, I would look for an ambidextrous mouse. That being said, I do know that Asu is left-handed, and he uses his right hand to aim. So it's not like you have to use your left. Yeah, what's up, Squip? Yeah, I remember you. Squip_OH. You still play Apex? And when is there a new Apex video, bro? Well, I do play Apex. I answered this question a little bit off stream, or pre-stream, I should say. I still enjoy the game, right? I made that video about how I think the game has fallen a lot from grace and a lot from what made the game so good at the start. But it's still a good game, right? Just because it's gotten worse does not mean it's garbage or it's dead, which is what most of the commenters seem to suggest. It's at its core, it's still that like movement-heavy, relatively high time to kill BR, and that still makes it fun for me, right? I get a little upset by issues with like servers, like janky hitboxes, stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, it's still a pretty good game. That being said, I no longer play it in my off time, except with friends, right? When people ask me to play, I'm happy to play with them. But I used to get this feeling. I would watch like Matafi or Asu, and like, wow, I actually really want to play this game. I want to log on right now and do what they're doing. But I don't get that feeling anymore. I'll watch it and it'll be fun to watch, but it's not that same like childlike wonder I used to have with the game. It's still fun though, you know. It's still not a bad game, and that's partially due to just in general. Well, maybe it's because of the comment section for that Apex video got me so annoyed. As for new Apex videos, I probably will not make Apex specific gameplay content because like I'm a pretty good player, right? I'm decent, but I'm not a top level player by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to watch someone who's really good, just have gameplay, you would watch someone like Synced. You would watch someone like Asu. They have videos of it's just them edited down, action after action, them getting 20 bombs, right? For me, I don't drop 20s that often. I would get like, I don't know, 15, and then the gameplay wouldn't be quite as crispy as theirs. I try to do cool stuff from time to time because that's just how I enjoy the game. But as for raw gameplay, I can't really keep up with those better players. And plus, I think that's not the type of content people want to see from me. Like, I'm not the raw gameplay kind of YouTuber. That being said, the Mouse Accel project will probably be concluded in a similar way as the original Kovaak's project, because it's kind of similar, and that's kind of why I took on the project, where it's start with I have some clips of when I first started, and it was not pretty, and I'll throw that in the front. It was rough times galore, and then at the end, like, I'm really comfortable with it now. I like it a lot. So we'll have like a frag movie compilation, and in that sense, I'm gonna have like the end result be partially in Diabolical because I've been playing a ton of that game, and I will be playing more of it today, and also in Apex, of course. But I need to get more Apex clips because the only time I played recently was on someone else's stream. I haven't streamed that game in a hot minute. I'm overshooting a little bit. I think I need to play it a little more calm. My averages on this scenario have gone up quite a bit since I just started using Mass Accel. Okay, maybe this is not the best example, but in general, it's actually been quite good. Okay, let me look at some other... I've missed a lot of messages. CPS is clicks per second. Can your controller do this? Check out my my video I posted most recently. I talked about controllers using Kovaak's a bit. Hot Fudge Sunday. How to practice aim in mobile. I saw someone linked me like this aim trainer equivalent for mobile, but I forgot the name of it. Sorry. What did you stop playing TF2? I play jump maps from time to time, but I don't play competitively, or like I very infrequently I'll do like MGE. Has he always been using mouse acceleration? I've been using it for like a month now. I do have more viewers on YouTube, yeah. I'm hoping some of you guys will come over. Because Twitch is an easier platform for me to use. I would love to play on PC and have Kovaak's. Oh. I mean, eventually you'll be able to switch, surely. If you really wanted to. Gotta go, but I'll be back on stream later. Alright, thanks for stopping by. You are a bit quiet. Can anyone confirm or deny? Sorry. Kunai, YouTube stream? Yeah. What's your mouse pad? The friction on my arm is killing me. Yeah, that's the reason I have such a big mouse pad. Because I used to play OS, and I would turn my mouse pad vertical just so I could have less friction on my arm, and this was a good solution for me. Like just basically a giant mouse pad that covered my whole table. The only downside is that it makes it kind of dangerous to like drink coffee on top of it. But aside from that, it's really good. This one is like the glorious, like triple extra large or something like that. I used to have one that was the same length but the different thickness, or not thickness, like width, and that one was actually quite frustrating to play with, partially because my arm would be on the table and have more friction, but also because that like the mouse just didn't have enough vertical space. And as someone who enjoys using low sensitivity, like I still feel like I don't have enough vertical space from time to time. Man, that was bad. Yeah, let's warm up though. Let's warm up. $129 feels bad, man. If you could have abilities of one animal, what would you pick? What the heck? Bats have like echolocation, don't they? That's pretty cool. Ability of flight. That's true. Why don't you play Os? I'm not that good at Os, and I have a very hard talking while playing Os. Why don't I play any more? Okay, that's a more interesting question. I think it's because that when I was really into Os, I was playing. Also, Os and Bomb Party were the two games that I was really into. Bomb Party is a word game that I mean, I guess you could say I was top level at it, which is not saying much because the community had like 20 people in it. But I was considered one of the better players, right? That game, you do not really directly interact with your opponents, right? You basically just outlive them. And sometimes they'll mess up a prompt solve, and you can steal it. That's it. Like, everything else is just you versus yourself, which I like, but also, OS was kind of the same way when it comes to score-based multiplayer and like rank systems. You don't really do anything to directly influence your opponent's actions. So that's why I picked up Team Fortress 2 at the time, because I like that feeling of being better than someone, right? Beating them in a 1v1 scenario, reading their movement and plays like that. Wow, these are some rough scores. So yeah, that's why I started playing more shooters and less of those types of games. You caught me off with YouTube. Do you let go of M1 for this scenario? Oh, you mean for the tracking? No. I always hold mouse 1. My question is why? Is that for mouse Accel? I need to catch up on messages. Need a comfy cat, new comfy cat on your Insta. That's true. Maybe I should do some more of that. Instagram has been a weird platform for me in terms of growth. Because I feel like everyone who's liking my posts, aside from the people who come from my video, are just doing it to get themselves their own publicity. This gameplay is brainwashing me. I'm missing some messages. Anything? Question mark? Oh, ask me anything. I see. I may not answer it, but you can ask whatever. You can buy an aim coach and make a video out of it. Thoughts? I'm too much of like a do-it-yourself kind of person to do that. When are you training for the Animal Crossing Esports Pro Leagues? I'm a sick fisherman. 100% shark catch rate. What are your thoughts on Project A? I don't think it's my type of game as a general rule. I think I'll enjoy it, like without a doubt. Well, maybe not without a doubt, but I'll probably enjoy it because they seem like they're catering towards the competitive crowd, and they're also like looking for what's the word? Twitch shooter instead of hero shooter leanings, you know? One tap of the head. Like that's basically the major selling point for me is that it's very, very aim based. But I as a rule, I generally do not like hero shooters. Like Overwatch really does not appeal to me. Because it strikes this awkward middle ground between FPSs and MOBAs, where I feel like it loses a lot of the defining characteristics of both. A lot of the skill that comes from, you know, high mechanical skill in first-person shooters, and a lot of the depth that comes from like interplay between heroes or like all the other intricacies that make like Dota so dense, right? But Overwatch is like this weird middle ground where it's just kind of like you got ability timings, you got to play with your team, stuff like that. But you know, that's about it for me. But that being said, I do think Valorant is not quite that far. So I'll definitely give it a try if nothing else. But I do like high time to kill games like the Quake likes, and I don't particularly like hero shooters. So, can you get me OVX Game Trader? What's your mindset while doing things? Well, I try not to stress too much about getting worse, because when I played OS, I was really upset at myself whenever I would like suddenly do worse at something I did in the past. So now it's like the general self-analysis is what makes the improvement mindset so powerful. You know, seeing what you're doing wrong, thinking about how, like, why you're doing it wrong, and how you can make it better. But also, like, don't get too upset at yourself when you do things wrong, because that's like, you know, self-toxicity is not great. Is the low end of your Accel the same as your old sense? No, it's actually lower. Have you tried the new COD BR? It's pretty enjoyable, honestly. Yes, I've actually played a lot of it, and honestly, I'm a little bit addicted. It's for completely different reasons than I enjoy something like Diabolical and Apex, and I wouldn't say I would never play Warzone alone, but it definitely, first of all, brings back like a nostalgia for me, since I really got started on shooters with Call of Duty, and also, like, it's just dumb fun, you know? It is stupidly fun, in a brain-dead way. Not that aim intensive, and I've been having so much fun once I realized you run an RPG with the perk to let you switch weapons and reload faster. People get so mad when I wipe a team with like 3 direct rockets. You hear them in the microphones like, "Oh, what the hell, dude? That's not fair." It's the greatest feeling in the world. I also didn't finish my anecdote about OS earlier, where like I did a run of a map. It was like 6 stars. First run I had like 12 misses. I was talking the whole time about other stuff. Second run I one missed it right at the end. You know, when I was completely silent and focused. But that map was like 4 minutes long. Have you tried Aim God? I did play it on Twitch a few days ago. I think the scenarios are generally worse than Kovaak scenarios, but that has a lot of good ideas that could potentially make it better. Is Kovaak's free? No. If there is this thing called Aim Labs, which I think is decent, but it's not quite there. If you aren't determined to practice skill, you just have to tell yourself that if you don't finish a task in a certain amount of time, you will die. Pro tip. I don't know about that. Do you have any good scenarios for sniping? I think anything with click timing would be good, but you may want to do something like 1 mall 6 targets small. This one is pretty good. Really small targets, requires like good precision. And another really hard one, 1 wall 5 targets pasu, where things kind of move around like a real player. But you also have that vertical aspect that makes it kind of harder. And then there's another variation. 1 wall 5 targets pasu small. This is so freaking hard. It's so hard. Especially if you try to do it with flick aim instead of tracking aim. Maybe I shouldn't play this because it takes like my full concentration. Gotta catch up. I've been thinking about raising my sensitivity a little bit, to be honest. I love low sense, but come on, I kind of get lost in the sauce sometimes. Close range tracking has become, I mean, it's not impossible thanks to mouse Accel, but it's hard. It's very hard. I can definitely engage my arm more and make it better, but I might just raise my sense. We'll see. They're all in the corner. Please end. My small brain cannot take all this concentration. What? I'm getting juked so hard. Oh my goodness, dude. 12.8. That was below median. That was so hard. Alright, what's next? I do know Slightly Musical. I used to be a big fan of him because he was into like violin cardistry, magic, and was it cubing? I can't remember, but now obviously not so much. I actually made it for a stream. What's up? I have not heard of Neo Ninja. I missed so many messages. This is so difficult. Having such an active chat, and the YouTube's chat is not quite as easy to read. Okay, here we go. I have notifications on. Went the Kovaak's giveaway. Where will you announce the winners? I already handed all the keys, unfortunately. I DM'd the winners specifically. You actually did get entered into the bracket. So the way I distributed, the keys was to take 32 of the comments that me and the Twitch audience decided were the best, highest effort, or basically the people we thought would spend the most time and get the most benefit out of aim training, right? And you were actually in it, Hoxie. You got pretty far in the bracket. We put up like votes, and you know, we made it so like the person who would get all the way through the bracket, top 4, would get keys. I think a diabolical progression like Apex would be a great video. Yeah, the only problem is that it's gonna be unavailable for like the next few months after tomorrow. I can guarantee you every single skill is possible to master. It just takes lots of work and a strong mindset focused on improving. I agree. I don't think talent is that important when it comes to improving at skills. Is Twitch a better platform to stream? Pretty much the only reason Twitch is so popular is because it's so established, right? People know like you can make a career out of Twitch because like that's where all of the audience flocks. I never watch streams on anything other than Twitch and occasionally YouTube. But it's mostly Twitch. There's more interactivity, like they've built in some functions, sure. Mixer has some good stuff too, but no one's like, has there been any case of someone starting on Mixer and somehow making an audience there? I feel like the platform is just too small to start there. Like, it's not a bad platform by any stretch of the imagination, but like Twitch got their foot in the door first, and that means a lot when it comes to staying power. Stream is delayed hard, at least for me. It's probably because I'm just reading chat from a while back. I've missed so many messages. What is the reason you changed? I didn't change my streaming platform. I'm actually going to stream on Twitch later today. But I did want to stop by here and see, you know, see what the YouTube audience is like. It is me, man, who said Mad Lad a lot. Yes, I've seen you a lot in my comment sections. Thanks so much for the comments, dude. Are you equal from TF2? Oh shit, he's being recognized. EU player. I have a question. How did you increase your OS accuracy with the mouse? I feel like I'm moving a rock, like a rock when the beat map speed increases. First of all, I will preface this question by saying that I'm a tablet player primarily. That is by virtue of the fact that I started playing tablet pretty much like the first month that I started playing OS. Like, I stole my sister's drawing tablet since she was in college at the time, and I used it for OS. Then I bought myself like a CTL 480, right? And that's the one I still use now. Well, if I play OS, I would use that one. So I'm not a mouse player by trade. I did it for the video because I thought it made more sense, and I'm not terrible with mouse. But how do you improve your speed? I mean, I don't honestly think that it comes down that much to, what's it called? Sensitivity. I feel like unless you're using really, really low sense, then it's not really an issue. But even then, most people use sense that are on the low side. Like, no one's using a sense that you can go across your entire screen with like a flick of your thumb, right? You want to have lower sense, so you have a bit more room for error when it comes to those like snaps. I mean, you can make it with high sense, but anyway, for me, I cannot play OS with a mouse unless I'm using a fingertip grip. I don't know if that's true across the board. I think Doomsday uses a claw, but he has pretty high sense. But aside from like actually moving your mouse to hit the objects, I think it comes down to reading, right? When you get better at reading, you'll have a greater understanding of like where you need to go next and be able to get there a bit earlier. I don't know. Maybe play some more jump maps that are slightly out of your comfort zone. Yeah, and when you come back to your easier level, you may lose a little bit of consistency, but I think you'll find it's a bit more comfortable. I did that a lot when I was a new player. Played a ton of maps I was not ready for. Played a stupid amount of Freedom Dive. Got like 60%, but my streaming increased a lot. Like, I used to be a really good speed player because I played so many of those like stream heavy maps. Now I'm just mediocre at streaming and speed. But you know, it happens when you're out of practice. It's only so much you can do. It's great that I get new questions here, though. That's one of the beauties of streaming on a different platform. I can recycle questions. I do think this video is gonna get copyrighted to hell, though. Like, my origami video is absolutely shafted because of all the jazz music I use. There's like 17 different copyright claimants. CS:GO is a game where you can shred. I do think that it's a game that's much more about like game knowledge and game sense than it is about raw aim. Of course, raw aim plays a part in the equation too, and at low level, you can definitely carry yourself with just good aim. But I don't know. Low time to kill is kind of rough, and it's got its own set of specific mechanics. Thank you, Vord, for posting my specs. Your opinion on movement shooters at the moment? They're kind of in a bad spot, aren't they? Like, Apex is the closest thing we have to a popular movement shooter, and it's not really a movement shooter. Some things that let you like really build up speed are rare in the current era. Stuff like Tribe, stuff like Quake. Diabolical is like the one exception, and even then, it's like it's got a cult following. People love that game, and I think people who don't know about it would also enjoy it. Just like whenever I introduce someone to a game who's not super into FPSs, they're like, "Dude, this movement feels so good." Like, you just feel like you're unrestricted. You can do whatever your mind lets you, or like your creativity lets you, as opposed to what the engine. I mean, obviously you're limited to the engine too, but it just feels so good to just build up speed and go flying and then control it properly. That's hard, and it's, you know, it's useful too. It's not just like a wall bounce, which is cool, but one out of every 100 wall bounces I do does something effective. When I'm doing like really fast strafe jumps or circle jumps in Diabolical, that's useful. I'm chasing, or I'm running, or I'm just locomoting to a new position. This is actually a solid run, for my standards at least. I keep getting mind flooded when he stops on a dime, and I keep like overshooting. Okay, the run is dead. I've killed it. Oh no. What's up, May? Good to see ya. Pretty nice specs. They're okay. I'm trying to upgrade my GPU. It's Cirky. I was talking. This is the dude who told me about mouse Accel I mentioned earlier. If I'm using the aim trainer, how long should I train with it for? Do you mean in sessions, or do you mean in like as a whole? Like as a whole, I mean, that's up to you. If you feel like you're having fun with trainers, do it as much as you want. Right? Do it forever. Do it for a month. It doesn't matter. But as for sessions, I would say like an hour is probably a good amount, hour to 2 hours, and probably do it like before you start playing your game of choice. Let me be smoother. I think that's the big reason that I'm missing a lot of these, is that I'm flicking too hard. I also had the experience yesterday. The first time I actually forgot to turn on mouse Accel, and it felt so odd to me. Like it was like alien. Even though it's what I've been using for years and years. It's the first time I turned off my mouse Accel by accident. I was playing Warzone. I'm like, my tracking feels like it's way off. I feel like my mouse is moving too quick, and then my flicks, I'm like, my flicks are way too slow. So yeah, I mean, you can commit it to muscle memory, and I guess I have to some extent. I think on average, I'm a better player than I was in the past. Now that I've gotten used to mouse Accel. That was an okay run. 57. Are you live on Twitch? No, it's against affiliate TOS. I'm streaming on YouTube occasionally. Maybe I'll do it before my Twitch streams every now and then. This is Joe. Oh, what's up, Joe? Wait, you mean you don't die after not doing something in a time frame? Oh man, I need to catch up on these messages. Let's see. What's your sense? It's pretty complicated because I'm using mouse acceleration. My low end of sensitivity is like 0.7 in game. 800 DPI, which is like 74 centimeters per 360. The high end of my Accel is like 1.7 in game, which is like 30 centimeters. Which scenario would you recommend for an aggressive playstyle in TF2? Which class? That makes a big difference. I do use mouse Accel, yes. Hey, I gotta mention. Turkey's also daddy. Turkey's also daddy. Did he say his Apex rank? I am diamond, but I do not play rank at all. Well, it was diamond. I'm bronze 4. Gotta get back. Oh wait, I made it to the end of chat. Let's go. What's against TOS? Streaming on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. Not against TOS, but it's against the affiliate agreement. If you do that, hold on. Surely there's another way I can view my stream chat. No, never mind. Platform, please. No, that's fine. You don't like aim trainers. Why's that? Okay. What's a hard one? Let's do close, long strafes, invincible. Close strafes kind of get me right now because my sense is so low. And this is the awkward middle ground of mouse Accel, where it's like in the middle of the curve rather than being on one of the ends. Later on in this stream, when I go to Twitch, I'll probably play a ton of Diabolical. Today is the last day of the closed beta, and I'll probably try to get some viewers involved. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Just say goodbye to the game I've had the most fun in like the past year. In terms of raw gameplay, at least. I mean, Apex is probably still the best for me in terms of how much I enjoyed it at its peak. That's a decent run, actually, for my standards. They're bad standards, but it's not terrible. You play with controller? No, I do not. I used to play with when I was into Call of Duty. I played a lot with controller, but I ended up switching in like 2015. Tried out mouse and keyboard. I was terrible with it, and I actually almost quit FPSs because of how bad it was. Have you ever played Rainbow Six Siege? It's a really fun FPS game with very tactical. Also, if you have a Kovaak scenario, would you suggest for training Siege? So I mentioned Siege in my most recent video, and I said that the skill ceiling was a little like too high for my current like Twitch situation, right? It's not the fact that I don't want to play games with high skill ceilings. It's that I don't want to stream games with high skill ceilings, because that's like, I feel like you need 1,000 hours in that game to get to like a really high level, which is fine. I think that's really cool. But 1,000 hours of a game on Twitch versus 1,000 hours in your off time are very different, you know? And as for someone who's still trying to establish their channel and their gimmick and like make consistent YouTube content rather, I need something that I can complete in like a month or two. Maybe not complete, but like at least make a video of for being above average. Currently, that's mouse Accel because it's kind of a branch off of my previous aim training. But when I'd like to pick up more games, people have some great suggestions. I would love to play Melee for a month. Net play or like just grinding tech skill as a whole would be really cool. What scenarios would I suggest? Like, I think that game is very heavily click timing weighted, flick and click timing weighted. So yeah, just stuff like 1-while-6 targets, stuff like reflex flick. And a lot of other good scenarios. You may want to look at Aimer7's suggestions for click timing because he's got some harder ones that I don't really look at. The 1-while-5 targets, Pasu, Small, and the normal one are probably pretty good too. You play Scout. There are some scenarios that involve like shotgun SMG swap, pat target shotgun. Let's see. That's pretty good. Oh, I didn't kill him. But there are some of them that you were like right in front of your enemy. You have to move, and you also have to like go for those meat shots. I'm lining up my shots too much instead of just flicking. It's fine in the real game, but in this aim trainer, like you want to go for that muscle memory building. I think I'm gonna be like below median. Let's see. No, I was above median. Not by much, though. Let's see, you pass too small? Nah, I'm good. Oh, someone like my Twitch. Thank you. What are your opinions on new movement shooters at the moment, dude? I answered that question earlier when it came to the state of general movement shooters. But, like, as for ones that are coming out now, there's not many. There's not many. I think Diabotical is the only one I can think of that has had, like, any commercial success. Additional quality content there. What do you mean? Hey bro, I just found your channel yesterday. It's already one of my favorites. Hey, thank you. Thanks for sharing the link. Did you play League? I played it a very, very, very long time ago. Like when I was in, I think elementary school, maybe middle school, like maybe 6th grade. Back when, I think it was like pre-season 1. It was that long ago. Hold on, I need to refresh. Get my scenarios back. Go, there you go. Oh shit, what is going on? But anyway, yeah, I played it all the way back then. I was a big fan of the game, and I think I would still be really into MOBAs now if I let myself get into them. But I do prefer more mechanically centric games. Obviously, those are mechanical games, but stuff like aiming and movement and shooters can have an infinite skill ceiling, right? Because of how precise and how precise it can be, right? Aside from that, I also like games that you can put a team on your back if you're good enough. Something like TF2, you see these frag movies of someone on Scout 1v6ing a team, someone on Soldier doing the same exact thing, someone on Demo doing the exact same thing. Anyone, if you're good enough, you can kill a whole team. Obviously, the other team has to make some mistakes for that to happen, but it's still a possibility, and that's something I respect a lot in those types of shooters. Something like Overwatch, it's really, really hard to do it on your own, based on pure mechanical skill. Like sometimes you'll get like a surprise ult and kill people, but even then, like, you'll have the satisfaction of killing them, but it's just like you press the button at the right time. Not quite as appealing for me. I also had a stint of playing Dota. I've got like 100 hours in that game, but it was a long time ago as well. More recent than the League, but still quite long ago. This scenario I need to work on a little bit more with my Accel, because one of the weaknesses I have right now is that my, like, you notice I'm overshooting these. It's probably because I'm not quite used to the mouse Accel sensitivity. I could slow down and hit them, but speeding up is what makes this a little bit more valuable for me to learn. Okay. I would love Twitch Kovaaks. You introduced me to Kovaaks, thanks a lot. I've been grinding a lot during the quarantine days. Heck yeah, dude. Is mouse Accel is killing him? Wait, what? My scores aren't that bad. Like, the ones that are in my video are like the highest possible scores I've ever gotten. I've beaten about half of them now, but I also did not play Kovaaks much until recently. Because, you know, I played so much of it in that month that I kind of burned myself out on those scenarios. But then recently I picked it back up, and I still enjoy it. Like, I'm a bit of an oddball when it comes to that kind of thing. When I was a Blade and Soul player, which is a Korean MMO, I spent so many hours in the training room just grinding, basically like rotational efficiency. How quickly can I use my abilities? Because it was a pretty mechanically intensive game. I spent so many hours trying to be like, have perfect rates. And like, that's just how I am. I'll sit in training rooms for a long time doing that kind of thing. So Kovaaks is like the logical extension of that for FPSs. But I did need a break. Took like a month off from Kovaaks. I still improved in some regards, obviously, because I was still playing shooters. But I actually did take a hard break from gaming as a whole after I put out my Apex video. Like almost a full month of not really playing FPSs. Default mouse Accel is pretty bad. Agreed. It's very bad. Honestly, best streamer. Thank you, dude. Why using mouse Accel? I thought it's always bad for the aim. So you're probably thinking of mouse Accel that comes from like in-game mouse Accel or enhanced pointer precision in Windows. And the difference between those mouse Accels and the one that I'm using is the curve, right? So the relationship between sensitivity and like speed of the mouse for me is 1-to-1. It's linear. But that's not the case for the other mouse Accels. It's probably like cubic or something ridiculous like that. It's really stupid. But yeah, that's the difference. A linear curve, you can commit to muscle memory. And it has the benefit of allowing you to have really low sensitivity for precise tracking and really higher sensitivity for like flick aim, right? Quickly acquiring new targets. That was a decent run. That was a new high score. There you go. What Accel/DPI are you using? I'm using 800 DPI. Accel goes from 0.7 to 1.7 linearly. Yes, so he's using Accel to be the one guy that says he's using Accel with and fragging with it. That is definitely part of the equation. It's because it's so weird and eccentric. I just want to try it. What's my favorite class in TF2? I think I have the most time on sniper in actual like pubs and other games because scout and pubs is a freaking nightmare. I probably have the most actual in-game time on soldier because I had a stint of like playing a ton of jump maps, and my favorite class is scout. So 3-part answer. Competitively, I actually almost only played medic though because no one wanted to, and I got forced onto it because my movement was decent. And I had crispy arrows, of course. Seconds. I think this was a decent run, but that miss is probably gonna kill me. My target acquisition is looking a little better though. Like, I'm a little bit off with when I acquire new targets, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, that was a solid run. Using Accel because I peer pressured him to trying it. That's also true. Also true. You should play Overwatch. Not really my type of game, unfortunately. I used Windows Accel for 5 years, and I think that's true. Like, even if you do use the bad versions of acceleration, it's not that horrible. Like, you can get used to it. I think Banny used to use mouse Accel for several years before he turned it off. Swag in CSGO, he's still using mouse Accel, as far as I've been told. It's the in-game CS one, which is apparently, it's not as good as the one I'm using in terms of how easy it is to pick up, but it's apparently good enough for him to be as good as he is, right? I'm gonna need a fact check on that, because I was told it by a friend, but I never checked myself. Aw, I gotta hit those. Reflex Flick Easy was a scenario that I put in my my Kovaak's video, and my approach to it now was, well, at least my approach to getting high scores on it was very different than my approach to it when I first started. I'll show you guys in a moment. But the reason I was so surprised, or when I said like, oh, that was a quick improvement, was because I thought about how to get scores differently. So the way I did it in the past, which I think is actually better for actual improvement, and that's why I don't play the easy one as much anymore. You just get too much time. So the way I used to do it, I just flick to the target. If I miss, then I just miss. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't, right? It's hard. Even though the targets are pretty big, it's still pretty hard. The way I did it later on, I would flick to the target, and then micro adjust. So you can be very consistent with that kind of thing. Basically check, is my crosshair on the target? I got a pretty insane run off stream, I think. But there's so many people who did the same thing. I got 95%. What is your best run on OS? I mean, there's a lot of maps in that game. My best score, I don't really have too many amazing scores. Back when I played OS, I used to go out of my way to avoid getting new top plays, which is the stupidest thing in the world. Because I really like the aesthetic of underranked players. Like, oh, I'm not going to go into the same anecdote I just did yesterday on Twitch, in case someone's watching it again, you know? But I really liked underranked players. That was a weird, like, muscle spasm. But anyway, so I try to avoid getting rank, which is really dumb. But, I mean, the good thing about my play style back then was that I focused more on individual skill sets than I did on gaining PP. Because I think that's way better for actually improving at the game as opposed to just becoming a one-trick pony who can, farm DT. Let me focus. Let me try to get 100. I think I can do it. As I missed the first one. Ah. First one is the hardest, though. I'll accept one miss. I'll accept 2 misses. Alright. Maybe not right now. Show toaster? What is going on? It's a fancy fridge? What are you talking about? You good? After 16 years, I've become a literal frisbee god. Okay. Trying to remember this because I'm talking out of experience. I got so much stress after I changed Sense. You have to get a decent mouse, turn off mouse Accel, and get in a server. Try to Sense and just pick the most comfortable one. I think you can get used to basically anything, to be honest. You can get used to pretty much anything over time. What is this show toaster meme? What is going on? How long did it take until your spell break code came in? That's a weird question. I didn't know I played that game once. I was given it by a friend. What are you talking about? What toaster? There's no toaster on stream. Am I losing it? I'm using a Shindenkai. What is that? It's a type of mouse pad. No, I'm not. Any thoughts on Aim God's chances of surpassing Kovaak's after the video you made before? I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. They've got a lot of polish in their UI. They've got a lot of polish in their general game aesthetic, and they have good ideas when it comes to like new scenario creation. Okay, so this scenario right here, Rex Stripes Kata, there is a version of that in Aim God, and it sucks. It is so bad. Hold on, let me play the invincible version. So I played this scenario, this exact scenario. The difference is that there's a you're further away, first of all, like another 10 meters or so, and there's a hole here. So I was tracking him, doing all right, and then he just jumps into the void, and he dies. My invincible target died because he jumped into the void. Like, some of them did not travel that well. But there's, just in general, there's a lot of quality of life things that Aim God is doing right. But as for whether it'll surpass Kovaak, it needs scenarios. Like, I do not care about graphics at all, to be honest. The UI is nice, and it makes it feel like a more premium product. But what matters for aim training is the scenarios, not the UI, right? It's like why I run full low graphics in Apex, and people say, like, why are you playing an N64? It's because I want to be better at the game. I don't care what the game looks like. I mean, I do to some extent, but much less than actually having good frame rate, you know? This is an okay run, I think. I don't know if it'll be a high score. I don't see my accuracy. 46. This is kind of close. That's actually worse than I thought. Next person to say this, show your toaster. We mean your computer. Oh, I see. What? Someone already posted my specs, you freaking weirdos. Do some knife tricks on camera. I actually freaking lost my butterfly knife. I bet you it's probably behind a table. Sorry, my bed. I mean, I have this garbage one. But that happens because the waiting is terrible. Attacked by my own butterfly knife. It's also a trainer, so don't ban me. It doesn't have a real blade, or else that would have been very scary, in fact. Okay, please stop saying toaster. It's not that bad, alright? The RX 480, it's a little dated, I'll admit. But, it's not a toaster. I'm working it. I just ordered a new GPU so I can play like Warzone on stream. But it actually is a big difference playing Apex on stream compared to off stream. Oopsies, that was a heck of a strafe. Funnily enough, I mentioned on stream that I said like, hey, you should try out the Invincibles versions of these scenarios because I think they're better for consistency and more intensive tracking, right? And Kovaak was actually in chat lurking, and he says like, oh, sorry, I actually mentioned that the non-invincible versions are better for, or you know, they're useful in their own right, but they also involve jumping. The targets jump, and that's something that I have a difficulty with. And Kovaak was in chat, said like, yeah, I actually regret making those bots jump, but it's too late now. What is Rex Strafes? It's just a variation made by this dude named Rex. So yeah, it says, reduce RNG, improve the realisticness of the way the bot strafes, remove silly things like RL during fights. I don't know what that means. Jumping, the bot moving straight at you, etc. I do use a mouse pad. It's just a very large mouse pad. White mouse pad. Alright, I'm gonna head out. My family needs to laugh at me now. Thanks for stopping by, Ryan. Yeah, feel free to repeat questions if I don't see them, because the chat does move at a speed that my small brain cannot comprehend. I use my fingers to aim extra precisely. Is this normal? Yes, that is called a fingertip grip, or I guess it could be part of like a claw grip. And it's useful. It's very useful if you are really good at it. I feel like fingers have the best fine-grained control of all the aiming styles, but you're gonna have a harder time with like wide-angle stuff. Hey, what do I play now? How long am I going for? Almost an hour, so I'll probably stop soon. Thanks to your video, I'm doing a two-hour routine or headshot routine. Use Kovacs every day. When I'm doing this mouse Accel project, yeah, I do. But off stream, if I wasn't going to, I probably, maybe not every day. I don't know. At least when I'm focusing on other projects on stream, I probably wouldn't. If I had infinite time, sure I would, but you know, I still gotta fit in time for editing, you know? I have a harder time with that. Oh, yeah, fingertip. Yeah, right. I think the compromise is that you would have to use slightly higher sensitivity. I don't think you have to, per se, but you have the ability to because of your, like, much higher fine-grained control with your fingertips. It's up to you, of course. It's all preference. I watched a video on YouTube called CSGO Pro Grips, and it's actually crazy. Like, people have the most wonky grips imaginable. Things that just, like, they look so unnatural and uncomfortable. And, of course, they're top-level players. And you wonder, like, how is this even possible? Like, these are so unconventional. It's just something they've been using for a long time, and they've become comfortable with. Like, mouse grips really are preference. I would say that people can theorycraft all they want about which mouse grips are good at what, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you get comfortable with and what you get good with. I would imagine that they could switch grips and still be extremely good, though. You know, it's about the player, not the grip. But you should still find a mouse that fits your hand well, right? MM710, the mouse I'm using now. Okay, so first of all, the Kovacs video, I used the Glorious Model O-, and now I'm using the MM710. Some people ask me, like, why did you switch? Like, is it a better mouse? And the answer is not really. Like, it's pretty much the same in terms of specs, Maybe a slightly better cable, slightly better looking in my opinion. But in terms of like the sensor, the weighting, it's all more or less the same. The reason I switched is because of the shape. The shape plays a huge deal in like the comfort and the bigger ability to grip the mouse. And this one just fits so much better for my claw grip, like that. I'm using an RX 4082 to increase its performance. I flashed the RX 580 BIOS on it for an increased power limit, allowing me to overclock further. Oh wow, that's cool. Also changed the rear mem time. I just ordered a new GPU, so I would do that, but I took the coward's way out. Will the stream be available after it ends? I think what I'll do is that I'll make a playlist of my YouTube stream VODs for people who want to watch them, but I'm not going to keep them as full videos on my channel, because these aren't things that I'm like really... I don't want this kind of content to be muddled in with all my other high effort content. Were you also obsessed with improvement in school? So that's an interesting one, because people have been telling me like this would be such a good mindset to have for studies, and I really enjoyed learning new things, right? I hated memorization. I hated unnecessary homework, which we had an abundance of. So as a result, I became very lazy with like actually studying, because I had so much of this like AP homework to deal with. Well, I mean, I was an overachiever in the sense that I took like all AP classes, but which for the non-NA viewers is like the nerd classes. Basically, as try hard as you could get in terms of academics in high school. But I don't know. I didn't care to be like the best in terms of grades. I just cared enough to like do well in the exams and like get into a good college. That's about it. And then for things I was actually interested in, which were few and far between, like the only class that I actually outwardly enjoyed was physics and physics with calculus, because they didn't involve such like memorization techniques. It was much more like lateral thinking, and I enjoyed that a lot more. But I feel like if there was more, like my school did not have a ranking for like GPA. I feel like I would have done so much better as a student if that was a thing, because I'm a competitive person by nature. But you know, it is what it is. OMG saying I hated studying, but new concepts fascinated me. Yeah, right. Man, like, people have different learning styles. Like when I took notes, I feel like it helps for like homework and stuff, but a lot of times I did better when I just absorbed the information, more so than like filling out this note sheet or stuff like that. What GPU did you order? It's 2070 Super. What about claw grip combined with arm aiming? That's what I'm doing. Super low sense to force my... There was a month where I used 0.7 multiplier in Apex and 800 DPI, which translates to 74 centimeters per 360, and I think that's like 30 inches, which is like over 2 feet, 2.5 feet, over 2.5 feet to do a 360. That's a low sensitivity. But the reason I did it partially is because I thought it was fun, but also because it forced me to use my arm to aim. Right? So it was kind of like individualized training specifically for arm aiming. And now my low end of mouse Accel is that same sensitivity, but my high end is much higher. So it's more practical. I can keep that super low sense that allowed me to beam people with an R9, but I can use a higher sense for when I need to, hit a quick flick headshot with a wingman. That being said, that was not a pretty... Oh, that's actually not bad. I guess it's not quite as bad as I thought. Understandable. Streaming on YouTube, weird? It's about the same. I think the chat is kind of harder. Thought you didn't stream on Sundays? I've moved the day I don't stream because I think the weekend is too big to capitalize on. I was supposed to stop streaming after an hour, but I wanna get these questions out. What do you suggest for improving aim with a wingman? Wingman is just like pure click timing, more or less. The only thing that's you also want to pay attention to is aiming with movement, because oopsies, my Steam just opened. Aiming with movement, because that weapon has very high mobility. So you could look into some scenarios that involve like dodging
or like force yourself to move on specific click timing scenarios. Or I would recommend, honestly, the best way to get used to that weapon is to play against people in the training room. Force both of you to use the wingman, and you'll get better. All-time favorite video game? Oof, that's a hard one. Man, that's a really hard one. I mean, like, I'm in love with competitive like multiplayer games now, but back then, like, I put so much time into like Pokemon games, and I still enjoy like battling to this day. So it's hard to say. I want to say TF2, but like even then, would it be TF2? I don't know. That's a hard question. I've got a lot of love for Monster Hunter 2, but I'm a bit of a newbie. I only played World. I'm trying to think of other single-player games that I really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Bastion back in the day, but it's been so long that I don't remember like why I enjoyed it so much. Like, partially narrative, of course, but I do think I would enjoy that kind of game less nowadays. I spent a stupid amount of time in Warframe, but I definitely wouldn't say it's my favorite game, mostly because like the more you know about a game, the more you see its flaws, especially with development cycle. I gotta sit back a little bit. That was decent, 60%. Let's see. There's 2 messages hidden. Oh. Do you think it will mess up my muscle memory if I play Kovacs with a shitty $4 office mouse while I'm waiting for my model of cord? Oh yeah, I also had a cord issue with my mouse. Would it mess up your muscle memory? Probably not. I don't think that's something you should really worry about too much. Because you can adjust quite quickly, I think. It's much more about like the technique. Like I've been using mouse Accel my entire life, and now I've picked it up in like 2 weeks, and now normal mouse movement feels weird to me. You know, you can just change. I'm 22. Do your streaming or following targets improved after that? Wait, what? I really hate YouTube chat. I'll be back when I get the Twitch notif. Alrighty. Feels bad, man. I feel like I just got red/related since last year. I wanted to do this stuff like cubing instrument and want to get good at FPS console. Same for school. I prefer thinking than memorizing, like a liberal study. Hey, birds of a feather. Why do you use aim Accel? I don't know if you answered it already. It was eating. Basically, the idea behind mouse Accel is that for close range or like tracking, you can use really low sensitivity for like the enhanced precision. But if I want to do like wide angle flicks, you can do that too with much higher sensitivity, right? Because the way it was in the past, like I'd be really good at these tracking scenarios because I had low sense, and then I would play something like Jumbo Tile Frenzy. I guess I'll play this meme scenario just for fun. I would play this one, and like my arm would be all over the mouse pad trying to keep up with these flicks. But now it's not that bad, right? That's the beauty of mouse Accel. Okay. Yeah, I'm Asian. This guy's literally the most relatable person in my couple conscious year. Those fake glasses, no. The stream has some delay. Sorry for asking twice. Yeah, I'm just reading old messages. I'm pretty slow. Sorry. No worries. What was using Apex and Kovacs? I think I use 1920 here, and I use what's like 1600 by 900 in Apex. That's just because my GPU gets overused if I use 1920 in Apex. Otherwise, I would. It does look impressive, but it's not. And this is actually a really easy scenario. But it's fun, you know. This is one of the first scenarios I played, and it's not good for improving your aim, but it certainly is fun. Honestly, I'll throw it a favorite just so I can get back to it some other time. I mean, it's kind of helpful for wide angle stuff, but there's better stuff. What kind of Asian? I am part Korean, part Chinese, mostly Chinese. Oh shit, this is fast stripes close. I thought it was long. I'm obscenely bad at this scenario. This is the one I use in my videos when I want to showcase scenarios that I'm not good at, or I should have played more of. Nah, not on stream. Not on stream. How good are your balance line flipping? I'm bad. I can do a behind the 8 ball about like 50% of the time. I can do a helix about 50% of the time. I can do aerials about like 20% of the time. Or an aerial. And my flow is horrible. But, you know, my trick repertoire is okay. Let's see. What are some good scenarios for flicking? I think you should consult Aimer7's guide for that kind of thing. He's got a lot of good click timing scenario suggestions. And I wouldn't suggest... I mean, you can use his full thing guide if you wanted to. But honestly, I think the best way to use his guide is just as a resource for... like figuring out good scenarios. And then like figuring out if it's good for you, you know? That's the best way to improve is self-analysis. Because I recognize that in in-game scenarios that when someone is above me or below me, I just get bodied because I cannot hit those shots. It just feels so unnatural to me. So that's why I play a bunch of vertical long stripes now. And someone's in close range, I kind of have a hard time keeping up from time to time. And that's why I play this. I will probably switch to Twitch in a moment though. I want to play some Diabolical. I do love like podcasting over Kovaaks though. It's a lot of fun for me. You know? Anyway, any console recommendations to increase accuracy? Click timing must be really hard to train a console. Are you talking about like general improvement tactics, or do you mean in like scenarios? I saw Zanik. Hey, what's up? How's your Kovaaks been going? Do you arm aim or wrist aim? I do a bit of both. How do you improve on pen spinning? I'm stuck on the basics. Any advice to help me on the journey? Ooh, I think it's good to pick up a trick that is too hard for you. Like the other day, someone made me try to learn the punt can. Let's see. So basically, you do a half spin off of your thumb, you do a full spin off of your wrist, and then you do another full spin around your thumb like that. It is extremely hard, and I did it one time, right? But along the way, it made me pick up some like better control of the pen overall. And in general, it just helped me out. So I would recommend trying to get a trick that's slightly too hard for you, and then it may force you to learn some new fundamentals along the way, but eventually you'll get it with enough practice. Hit scanner projectile. Wait, what do you mean? You drank too much water on Twitch, so now you're here. Exactly. I sucked the first time, but when I tried flicking tonight, I got noticeably better. That's great. Why mouse Accel? It makes it so that I have low sense when I'm like trying to track, and then I have high sense when I'm trying to flick. That's the idea behind it, at least. And it's a linear curve as opposed to some sort of wonky, like quadratic curve. So it's much easier to commit to memory. Can you jump on Tile Frenzy? Sure, I'll do one more of those. I'm not good at this. I mean, I'm okay at it, I guess. It's just not. It's not a good scenario for actually improving aim. Any scenario that doesn't check for accuracy and is 30 seconds long, you know something's up. Oh god, that was bad. Oh well. I'm back to go for a little while. I'm just playing some Rainbow Six Siege. Nice. Thanks for the advice. I'm gonna check it out. What did Verd say? Yeah, I recommend checking out K93. That's pretty much how I learned everything as well. How much is your centimeters per 360? Low end. I'm using mouse Accel, so there's like a high and low end. Low end is it? Oopsies. It equals like 74 centimeters. High end is like 30. You just watched Shoeman 6. Was it a Pensmer? I don't know of him. Sorry. Isn't that inconsistent? No, it's a linear curve, meaning it's like a one-to-one relationship with how fast you move the mouse and how high your sensitivity gets. So it's something you can commit to memory. It just takes time. Let's try some this scenario. I put this in my video. I wish I played more of it. Like, the reason I did it is because I thought Rex Stripes Kato is basically the same thing, but it's not. This one is actually harder. He's quicker. Full concentration. That's what it takes to read this kind of movement. I honestly believe that tracking is much more about reaction than it is about reading. It's so much more important to be able to like exactly examine which way an opponent is moving, as opposed to be able to predict what they're going to do. Of course, prediction does play a good role, especially in games with projectile classes, but for the more like hit scan oriented ones, or even like things like Apex where it's like fast projectiles, it's much more about reading. Oof. That was not terrible. I have a business question. Can I ask it in Twitch DMs? I probably am not interested in business questions, but sure. Do you like anime? Yeah. Let's see, Cirky's probably preaching about mouse Accel. The Accel curve becomes your muscle memory, so even mid-fight direction changes, you are still fine. True. But who's arguing against it? Yes, but let's say you have a very fast 3 degrees horizontal correction during tracking. In that case, doing it fast, you can't be accurate. Yes, you can. You will have the whole curve committed to muscle memory. Like, it's just natural to me now. I don't think about how fast I have to move the mouse. I just know because I've been using it for just a week or two. Do you play Overwatch? I do not. Who disliked? I'm glad you guys are hounding him for me. People are so much faster than me at this scenario. So much more consistent. It's a really good one, though. I would recommend this one a lot to people. At least as like an intermediate beginner click timing kind of scenario. Having them move a little bit is actually a surprisingly difficult twist on Tile Frenzy. That was not terrible. Yes, I'm preaching. You just move your mouse at a mid speed to correct. Your sensor won't go super high unless you're set up. Yes, you can set up the whole curve of your Accel exactly to your specifications. So my Accel is actually higher than most people, but most people have a pretty mild ramp in terms of increasing their Accel. Why do you think mouse Accel isn't that popular? Because getting good mouse Accel that's linear is very unintuitive. The way I did it was downloading a driver from this like obscure source. His name was Kovaak. He was like a TF2 / Quake player, and he worked with Kovaak, or at least Kovaak developed a GUI for the mouse Accel driver to make it more usable. But even then, it wasn't that intuitive to set up, and it was like kind of hard to even discover, right? It's not well known, and most versions of mouse Accel are really bad, right? You shouldn't use them. There are few and far between games that let you set it up as robustly as the Kovaak driver. Do you play Fortnite? I do not. Do you have Kovaak's version 1 because it says I have version 2? I have the 2.0. There is like another version of Kovaak's built in here called Trainer. I cannot recommend the Trainer in good faith, personally. It kind of misses the point of what made Kovaak so strong. Have you ever been on the site AIM 400 kilograms? No, I haven't. I think most of the browser AIM trainers are horrible, though. Enemy color setting. Sure. I don't think it's anything too special, but there you go. Honestly, I would prefer it was a bit more pastel, but... Do you play Apex? I do. No mouse pad. It's just a big white mouse pad. How do you download the aim trainer? It's on Steam. It's like $10. I have heard of AimLab, yes, never tried it. Tips in terms of persistence. As of now, I'm avoiding what I want to be doing. I mean, I'm not like some sort of dedicated legend when it comes to actually sticking to what I need to do. Like, if I was, I would have more videos out, right? But I don't know. Like, discipline, self-motivation, really, really not easy. In terms of persistence, I mean, when it comes to like improvement skills, it's about setting goals. You know, I think that's the best thing you can do to help yourself stay motivated. Is like find what you want to do, something that's attainable in like the mid to short term period, and go after it. Go after, do whatever you need to, and I think that'll get your motivation going. Assuming you actually want to do it, right? But as for like actual self-motivation as a whole, like I don't think I'm qualified to speak on that. It's such a difficult thing if you don't have it innately. And I don't, honestly. I do not have self-motivation. Try to use a pen, like a normal pen for pen spinning. Yes, you know the curve, I get that. However, the perfect aim would have an instant correction where the distance on the mouse pad would be very small. I'm not really understanding that argument. Do you play any other FPS games other than Apex? I've been playing a lot of Diabolical recently. It's so freaking fun. Aside from that, I mean, occasionally I'll boot up TF2 for MGE or jump maps. And I play Warzone a little bit right now. Please learn new things and talk about your experience. I'm going to try. When are you going to drop your typing video? Well, my cat's making a cameo. I don't know what... You good? Does the pen mod actually help a lot? It does, but... Hold on, let me get a normal pen. I gotta go remember what I was just reading in chat. Maybe I'll go for like... a little bit longer because I just reached peak viewership as I was about to end. So yeah, you can still do a lot with the normal pen too, but it is a bit harder. The pen mod is actually not hard to make though. Like the one I have, I got some parts bought directly from this website called Penwish, but you can use much simpler mods with more like common pen pieces. Like it's really just body of a pen, just like a big pen, put on 2 caps on either side, cut off the little latches so it doesn't get in the way, stick on some metal bits if you have them for weighting. If you're not, it's not a big deal. Throw some grips on the end and you're done, like, right? And it'll be balanced. Also, you might want to take out the ink or put in both 2 ink tubes. I know with the Victory mod, spelled with like victory with a B, they use 2 ink tubes and you put it on either end. I thought it was a monkey in the background. I do actually play with Accel, yes. Sorry, let me stop pen spinning and start Kovaaking. Pen tablet. Some of these, you're retracting some messages. Heroic Mage, what's up? KDR in Apex is quite bad. Let's see, my main I have not played much of my main. On stream, I've been playing mostly with friends who are not in Platinum, so I've been smurfing in order to play with them. And that one has like I think it's at like gold 1 or something like that now, and it's got a KD of like 5, but my main is like 2. Use aimbot in this game with auto clicker. You get punished for missing, so like your score will go down if you miss. Well, on most scenarios. Jumbo Tile Frenzy does not, which is why it's not a good scenario. I gotta find some. Hold on. I'm gonna pause. It was a bad run. Let me just read some comments so I can rant a bit. Depends on the setting. You can play a linear or exponential. Oh, okay, it's true. It's true. Some games have Oh, I see. I see for console. Gotcha. Oh, right. The typing. The typing is what I wanted to talk about. Someone mentioned. First of all, for those interested in pen spinning, I will almost certainly make a video on a pen spinning stream I did, in which I taught people how to do a basic pen trick live on stream, and it worked out really well. So I think that'll be a really good like mix between a tutorial and the narrative, so I don't feel like I'm just stealing content, right? But for the typing one, someone suggested I use this layout called Kovaak. So Kovaak is an alternative layout for keyboard. Right now, the default layout for most like English keyboards is QWERTY, right? And the reason QWERTY exists is because it was created for typewriters. They made it so any key that would be used in quick succession within words were separated, so the bars would not jam. However, like now that we don't use typewriters anymore, at least for the most part, there's no need to have that layout as it is. It's just gotten its foot in the door first. Like it has that staying power. So we've never really gotten away from it. The alternatives are like Dvorak is pretty popular. I think most people have heard of it at some point in their life. And the other one is Kovaak. So Dvorak is very extreme. I think it's based solely on ergonomics and speed. And Kovaak is somewhere in the middle, where it puts your most used keys in the middle row for less hand movement, and it puts what's it called? Like your X, C, and C, Z, X, and C for like undo, redo, or cut and paste, stuff like that. Those are in the same spot because they're so common in like all software. So that's the idea. Aside from that, it's like completely different, and I think it will be so much fun to learn. Because I tried learning it in the past, but gave up because I wanted to get better at QWERTY instead. But on stream, I would full commit, you know? I would go never QWERTY, only Kovaak, rebind everything in every game I play to this like funky loadout or layout. It would be a lot of fun. And on stream, you'd have that progression of playing against playing Type Racer against viewers. And at the start, I'll be getting bodied, and at the end, I'll be bopping them. So that would be the dream. But I don't know. I feel like it would kind of make for an amazing video. I think because it also hits that niche of like people know about it, but at the same time, they don't really know why it's good or if it has any benefit. And then it would have that narrative aspect on top of it. But on stream, it might get a little mundane, which is kind of like where my focus is right now. The streaming. So that's my only concern. Like I'd be playing Type Racer or Bomb Party every single day, or maybe like every other day. People might get bored of that. I think I could maybe sneak it out if I did a what's it called? I did it like in segments, which I think I might do anyway. You know, it's just such a cool idea to me that I might do it anyway. I'll do it like 2 hours of Type Racer, and then we'll just do whatever else after that. That could be good. All right, I've talked myself into it. Well, I mean, I was planning on stopping the stream a little earlier, but like the viewer count is rising as I'm about to stop, so I think that would be a poor idea. Okay. What is this? Yeah, it's mouse Accel and Kovaak. Try to use a pen tablet for this. It doesn't work that well as you would expect. Like I've got a I probably have it right here. Yeah, I've got my good old CTL 480 with the pen. But for 3D aim, you can't really use absolute positioning, which is the main benefit of tablets. Like, and notice the reason it's so good is because any point on your screen will correspond to a point on the tablet, right? 100% of the time. But when you have a 360 that, you know, can repeat infinitely, that's not possible. That's why 2D aim and 3D aim do not translate as well. Oh, God. Oh no, that's not pretty. Mr. Pinglefy, how have you been? Because being with you makes my day so much better. Aw, you should stop by on Twitch more often too. I stream pretty much every day. You should do 30 days of getting better at Fortnite, no cap. I think it takes longer than that to be good at that game. I think I would enjoy creative a lot, but there's a lot of mechanics in that game that kind of put me off. He uses Sandbox because Trainer isn't that good / helpful. He mentioned this before. He doesn't recommend Trainer and Kovacs. Yeah, I mean, let me give it a try, right? I've pretty much never used it aside from the first time. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Why does it want a freaking email? Why are you gatekeeping me from playing your Trainer? LED lights would be really cool on your pen while you spin it. That's true. I mean, I think that would be cool. I'm not much one for like RGB though, as you can see from my very clean setup. My Twitch is Word still here? You looking for me? Let me mod Heroic Mage as well. TY. Mouse Accel is basically the concept of having your sensitivity get higher the faster you move your mouse. Cat IC, long stripes, invincible. I'm just doing these scenarios because they're kind of fun and I can talk over them. If I was actually trying to grind hard for scores or for improvement, I probably wouldn't play these scenarios so much. But a lot of those scenarios that I would want to grind require a lot of concentration. By the way, I do want to mention one scenario that I recommend highly that was not in my video, and it's this one. Thin aiming long invincible, 4.7, and for good reason, because this is like the best scenario for mouse smoothness. It's way harder than it looks. Smoothness is a very important aspect of aim, and it's something that is really worked on well here. To do things you otherwise wouldn't, you need to give up on the thing you're hooked on. I suppose, yeah. Why YouTube stream? Because I think I have a much greater audience here, or like a much larger, wider audience, and people might not know. People might not be into Twitch, first of all, and they also might not know what I do on stream typically. Try to play on a console. I played on console for many years. I don't find console or controller aim to be as compelling as or as visceral as PC aim. Controller for a month would be a fun project, but I probably would not like it. I think tracking is much harder on PC, but flick aiming is easier, and flick aiming, it feels very nice when you do snappy stuff, you know? Based off like quick flick of the wrist for a easy headshot. This is so good. It's just nice playing along with you. Wow, that's really cool. Wrist pain? Ooh, hard topic. Funnily enough, one of my friends is in med school, and he doesn't really play FPS as much anymore, but he did tell me at some point that he was into Quake in his like younger years. That was terrible. He was into Quake, so we gave him a key for Diabolical. He got in the beta, and we played so much. Like we were all having so much fun with that game. But then he comes to me like 2 days later saying like, "Hey, what do I do when I have wrist pain?" The dude in med school, starting to become a doctor, is asking me what to do with wrist pain. But I did have some experiences with this in the past, because when I was into OS very heavily, you know, wrist pain is a very real thing that causes a lot of top players to have to dial it back or retire. So it's a lot about doing preventative, like RSI stretches to prevent that thing from even happening in the first place. It is much better preventatively than it is remedially. So I recall a few of them, things that would just like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lot of them that you should look into. Just look up RSI stretches and
you'll get a good idea of what you should do if you want to like make sure you don't have wrist pain. And there's this dude named like Dr. Levi who has like stretches for gamers, which are also pretty good. Aside from that, I also told him about like desk ergonomics. You want to make sure your wrist is in the most neutral position possible when you're playing games, because if it's at an unnatural angle, it's gonna get strained more and more the more you play, and at some point it's gonna get like really bad. I had a friend who used to be really into Super Smash Bros. Melee, and he would go to locals like every single week, commuting a while to get there. And then he told me just one day out of nowhere, while he was having the train ride home, that he felt like a sharp pain in his wrists, and he realized that he had like carpal tunnel. He had to wear like a brace to sleep every night. And that's kind of made me scared to pick up Melee, because I feel like I would love it so much. I would grind tech skill all day long, and then at some point, psh, the wrist give out. Gotcha, thanks. Awesome. I'm camera flipped. You played Diabotical? I loved it. It's a lot of fun. I'm not much into dueling because it's such a daunting task, right? I watched Banny, who's a TF2 player, probably the best one of all time, in terms of legacy at least. He played that game, and he was getting frustrated because he was severely out-aiming his opponents, but he would still lose because of his lack of understanding of item control and failure to keep like internal timers on all of the important items. And he would take like unsafe fights because he knew he had better aim. But he was getting quite flustered, and that's kind of the experience that I had too. The first time I played a Quake-like was Reflex. I played against a friend who wasn't even into FPSs. I had like 500 hours in TF2 at the time, which is not much by TF2 standards. And I lost. I lost to the friend who didn't play shooters like at all, because he was focusing all on item control. I was focusing all on DM. You know? It's a completely, not a different skill set, but it has an additional skill set on top of just the raw aim and movement that comes with Quake, which honestly is what makes it such a beautiful game, but at the same time it's very scary for someone like me to get into because of how high the skill ceiling. Dr. Levi's tips are great. Hey, heck yeah. Keep doing what you love, and maybe you'll become as good as Shroud or better. I don't know about all that. I think one of the things that makes Shroud such a scary player is because he's got like infinite composure, right? I heard a lot of people in my comment section say like, what's really important is composure and confidence, so you don't panic in fights. And it is important, without a doubt, especially confidence. And when you start panicking, you start rushing, you start flicking everything, you start missing shots. However, Shroud has played at the highest level of CS on like a world stage. That's like as high as it gets when it comes to nervosity and like pressure, right? He feels no pressure from in-game scenarios anymore, like being in the last 3 of a Apex game, being 1v3 against the final squad. Like it's just standard fare for him. He doesn't care. You know, I don't think I'll ever reach that level of composure, because I don't think I'll ever play and become desensitized to that kind of in-game scenario pressure. Maybe someday, but he's definitely got a leg up on almost everyone as a result of that. I'm sure people like Asu also do not really feel anything when they're in like high pressure situations. Like maybe in scrims, but at least in pubs, definitely not. He knows he's better than everyone, right? It's just whether or not he can execute on doing cool stuff while killing them. Man, this is a terrible run. Should do 1 month of Minecraft PvP or clicks per second practice. Not really my cup of tea personally. Try looking at Aimer7's guides to different scenarios, and you can match your sense on websites. True. Mousesensitivity.com, and Kovaak has a mouse or sensitivity matcher I'd recommend. Remember how happy and chill Shroud was when he started streaming? It's like he got out of jail. Huh, that's crazy. I wasn't around for that period because I don't think I was into CS that heavily.
There was one a Cloud9 event thing where they do like questions and answers as quick as possible, and one of the questions was, if you had to quit streaming or playing professionally in CS, what would you do? And Shroud said streaming. Funny how things turned out. Oh, that was actually good. At the end, I started popping. You were so good. I'm not that good. What is your EDPI? I'm pretty sure for sensitivity multipliers, at least in like the source type of ones, EDPI is just DPI times in-game sense, right? So 800 times 0.7. I did this on stream yesterday. I forgot it. It's mouse Accel, so it's not the same for both ends. 1.7. Oopsies, that's not right. Times 800, and that's my EDPI. What are you working on at the moment? I'm working on using mouse Accel in first-person shooters, but now it's just like ironing out these little kinks of inconsistency that I have. It's not bad though. It's not bad. I enjoy using it a lot. To the point where I don't even realize like I'm using it anymore. It's because it's become already committed to muscle memory. But anyway, I think I will switch over to Twitch soon because I think it's about time we play some Diabolical. I'm looking forward. This is the last day that game is going to be in closed beta, and it's a damn shame. I love that game, man. Maybe they'll extend the beta period because of the coronavirus. That'd be cool. Is the aim trainer free? This one is not. No, it's $10. What is my CS? I do not play CS. At least not in ranked. I have like probably 200 hours in it, and it's almost all in casual because I was scared of playing ranked at the time. I was scared of like letting my team down, just not being good enough. But I would exclusively use like the Scout SSG in pubs. It was a lot of fun. I'm intentionally missing my tweet. It's hard, you know. I'm not used to the YouTube chat. Where's your message, bro? I don't see it. There's a whale too. Okay, now that you see my messages, do you want to play Apex? Oh, I see. No Apex for me today. Reply Diabolical. Hey, Ultimo Mice, what's up? I am gonna stop streaming here now. I'm gonna get some water, and then I'm gonna move to Twitch, I think. So, yeah, I'm gonna make good use of my dangle overlay I made 10 minutes before I started the stream, which apparently I'm quite good at now. Procrastinate to the last second to make overlays. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna head out to Twitch. I'm gonna get some water. We're gonna play some Diabolical with viewers because that game is so fun, and this is the last day it's gonna be around. All right. Yeah, look at that. Imagine getting in a match against Pingo Fun. I'm not that good at FPS games. I'm decent, all right? I'm no Shroud. All right, bro, see you. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Thank you, Word, for spamming my links. I will be on live on Twitch in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll probably be talking with friends and having a good time, all right? So I appreciate it. This has been a great first stream on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun answering questions and just like podcasting over Kovaaks. So yeah, I really appreciate all you guys coming out and watching. I'll see you on Twitch, hopefully. Bye-bye. My chapstick. Oh shit, I just realized this is the